Hey, I'm here with my pal Liron Segev at the Made on YouTube event where Neal Mohan and some of the execs that work for YouTube just unveiled some of the new features that they're going to be rolling out over the course of 2024, 2025. And we wanted to give you sort of a first-hand response to what we think of some of these tools and if we think they're actually going to be useful to creators.
Right? Useful is important.
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean, tools for the sake of tools, not so much, right?
We were here last year, and the big thing that they were talking about at that time was AI, and how AI was going to impact creators and how they could use it responsibly to create tools that would help creators be able to make more content, but do it in a way that sort of held back the reins a bit, I would say. Is that accurate? What was that? It feels like YouTube's always worried about moving anything too quickly or rolling things out so fast that it becomes problematic and could be potentially dangerous or create situations that will become hard to roll back later on. So today we were seeing sort of like the next level of that AI integration.
For us, kind of AI isn't new, right? YouTube's entire base, entire code structure, everything is based on artificial intelligence, machine learning. That technology has been around for a very, very long time. AI became the latest buzzword because when ChatGPT became out, all of a sudden everyone became an AI expert. But this has been deeply ingrained within YouTube for a very long time. So they are rightly so to be concerned about abuse, about reusing other people's likeness, about how people can manipulate and abuse the system. So I think it's smart to have a slow rollout. Roll something out, learn, adapt, next iteration, learn, adapt, next iteration. But some really exciting stuff that are actually useful, which is what we like, tools that we'll actually use.
I agree. Well, the theme this year seemed to be supporting creators throughout their journey. So a lot of the things they're building or they're working on now that will be released shortly are really thinking about the creator's journey from start to finish and how to get out there and help all of us do that kind of thing more efficiently, more effectively. And sometimes I get a little nervous that lowering the barrier to entry can also be problematic. If you make it too easy for people to make stuff, sometimes we can see the onslaught of what our pal Roberto Blake would call low effort, low value content. But I don't think that's the goal here. They're trying to make tools that smart creators can use in a smart way to make smart content that has value, that's high effort content, but just allow them to be a little more productive in their workflow.
That's true, that's fair.
So the first thing that they were talking about today, they came back to the Dream Screen. Dream Screen was something they talked about last year they were working on, which did things like if you were using Shorts, you could generate a background behind you and you could do AI integrated things that would make your shot look a little bit better than, say, whatever cubby hole you happen to crawl into. And I think that's not a bad idea. Right off the bat, my gut on it was, I think it's okay. It is limited to Shorts. They're really pushing Shorts here. And these Dream Screen integrations are becoming a little more extensive. Now you can actually use prompts to say, like, I want to make a video that has, a unicorn jumping through the field and then into the middle of the city. And you can sort of create these 6-second AI-generated clips that you can drop right into the Shorts, right from the app itself.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Yes.
Yes, that seems to be
what they were presenting. Look, I think that it's not all things to all people, right? So I think if you have a how-to channel and you're doing a step-by-step instructional, how much of this AI you're going to use is probably not that much. However, if you have maybe a podcasting channel and you have a little clip that's maybe not so exciting to watch, really cool to hear, but not so exciting to watch, maybe there is some value in being able to put some kind of animation or some sort of AI background to kind of spice up that scene. We saw a good example with someone who was into books and reading a book section, and instead of just her reading it on the screen, it had some animations going on in the background. I do see some value for some creators. Is this kind of the big thing, panacea that cures all ills? Probably not. I do also say that right now, from the prompts that we've seen, only what we've seen, it isn't there yet. It's definitely evolving, definitely much better than it first started out. And I think over time it's going to get even more and more seamless and look more and more real, which is great. I do think that it will take some time for it to get to the right channels, the right audience, people who will actually use it and add value. And to me, that's the key messaging here. Tools are great, but if they're not going to add value to my viewer, I'm very wary about just using it for the sake of using it.
It's only applied to shorts. It only generates a 6-second AI-generated video clip, but you can integrate more than one into a single short. So you could actually create a storyline of back-to-back 6-second clips, up to 10, I guess you would say, because 60 seconds presentation.
All right, so here's the question. What is stopping someone from generating entire clip just with these prompts? Is there enough value in that to be a standalone video that could now have officially replaced the creator because a couple of prompts just became the video? Are we getting to that kind of tipping point where the execution becomes easier and easier because these tools will do it? And now ideation is going to be much more important. And I think that for me, it's ideation is going to be the number one thing that will separate one channel, one creator from another.
I think it could be really useful for a lot of creators who use B-roll. You can basically generate some B-roll stuff right on the fly, even if you don't see a use case that someone else might use it for. It might make sense for your application where you already might be filming stuff that takes a lot of time to film. You go, I'll just generate that for the thing I'm trying to create. So I'm going to give this one a thumbs up.
Yeah.
If I was going to put it on the scale, I'd say that's a thumbs up. It's not going to be for everybody, but for the people who can utilize it effectively, I think it's going to be a great tool to have.
I agree.
Now, the next thing we saw them talk about, they were talking about the music visualizer and the AI incubator. We've talked about that last year. I think that's so far from being in the creator's hands where you can literally generate music by a prompt in the style of people who are in the program. You could say, I want to generate a song in the style of, Taylor Swift, and they could actually, if she's in the program and allows it, you can start generating content that sounded like a Taylor Swift song. We'll see. They've been talking about this for years, and I have not seen it roll out in any sort of way that anyone's using it that I know of.
Yeah, I think if you're in the music space, you're probably more in tune with us than we are, because this is not our genres on the channels. But again, it's another tool in your armory if you're that creator, if you're that content and that really fits your style. You'll obviously have a much more affinity to use it than you and I would do.
Well, part of that conversation also, they were saying things like you would be able to generate instrument-only background tracks that could be royalty-free that you generated, and you don't have to worry about that licensing, or it could potentially cut out subscriptions to some of those epidemic sound type companies where you're licensing background music. So in that case, could be kind of cool.
But I will kind of little asterisk on top of that. It still work. Right.
Yeah, it's still.
So you're still going to have that time, and in your process, you're going to have to stop and say, okay, I now need to create my own background tracks. Or I could just use one of the subscription servers and simply just download a bunch and end of story.
Right.
So it's kind of the balance, right?
Yeah.
Wherever you fit into the picture. Not one thing is going to rule them all. It's more different strokes for different folks.
Well, the next feature they told us about, and I love this one, is called communities.
Oh.
And let me see if I can describe this in a way that you can then tell me I totally missed the point. It's sort of like bringing Discord to YouTube. One of the problems I've always said is that the comment section on YouTube, it can be a real dumpster fire sometimes. All you can do is leave a comment and people can reply to that comment, and that's the end of the conversation. You can't post any imagery. If someone comes to my channel and says, ask me a question like Daniel, in DaVinci Resolve, how can I find that one thing that I need to turn that feature on? I have to try to walk them through it with words instead of just taking a screenshot and going, oh, it's right here, circle it. So now this is going to be, this communities is sort of it's not the community tab and it's not comments. It's a new thing within the structure of YouTube itself where you can have people come in and they can start the conversation. Someone who's a viewer could come in and start a conversation instead of you starting a conversation and then replying to it. They can also post images, both the creator and the viewer, the users in the community. So I think that this is going to be an interesting thing. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I think the community tab for me has always been the most underrated tab that we have, because us as creators, if you don't go live, you've got very limited way to communicate with your audience. Really, it's the comments, right? So the community tab always allowed us to have that extra bit of communication. If you run polls on the community, people are able to vote and all of those, great. Anything that enhances my interaction with my audience, I'm for. The idea with this is it's not a one-way street anymore. Because right now, only the creator can post. The idea with this, if we're understanding it correctly, is that you can allow the audience to post. Putting my kind of cynical security.
Go full cynical.
Security hat on. I want to see what about moderation.
Yeah.
I want to see how it's going to get abused. Can people just post anything? Do I have to pre-approve them before it goes live? Is it extra work for me? Anytime you get rando on the internet without a username to just be able to post anything to anywhere is a red flag for me. In a Discord, at least, it's a smaller circle, but if you have your entire YouTube channel out for the public, could they cause me to be demonetized if they start posting adult content on that?
True.
What's going to happen if someone posts a QR code? I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of that.
Yeah, you were the first person in this particular conversation to think of that.
It's like I need to understand how we make sure that we keep our community wholesome and clean based on our requirements. Right now, we can go into studio. We have a list of words which are banned from the channel, and therefore those are not going to be posted. That's all very well with words, but what about images now?
Yeah.
All right, if somebody screenshots and types a whole bunch of profanity on the screenshots and uploads, I want to see how that's going to get handled. So to me, it's moderation, it's abuse, it's scams in terms of QR code and kind of causing all funny mischief. How is that going to get handled? And based on that, kind of we'll be able to make a final call of do it thumbs up or thumbs down.
Those are great points. One of the things I liked about it was I've always said YouTube being one of the largest social media sites in the world, it doesn't act like a social media site. It's like you can post and you can talk and then people are allowed to reply. There isn't all that things that we love about Twitter or Facebook or Discord, the ability to communicate with people. So the upside is if you start allowing more conversations and people can get engaged in your community to a deeper level, you'll start to really understand who your super fans are, who the people who are really engaged are. And then you can also filter. They're making it sound like we'll be able to sort of, you can choose not to have communities active, or you could choose potentially to have it active, but only subscribers could post. You could even potentially do a members only communities so that it could be a feature for your memberships. Right now, I have a Facebook group, and people have to join the Facebook group because there's no good way to communicate and share images and have conversations or start a conversation on YouTube. So I think this has a lot of upside.
I agree, and anything that makes people come back is a positive. So now there's a hub to come back to, whereas people can go back and say, hey, I posted this. Did people like it? Did they reply? Did they upload their pictures? I like the idea of getting my audience to come back, not just to watch a video, but to come back and hang out.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So we're all for it. I'm trying to be clear. Yep. We're all for it. We're cautiously optimistic that we are able to maybe toggle some switches to say members only or subscribers only, maybe encourage those subscribers to come to hit that button finally, or those viewers to finally hit that subscribe button. I think there's a lot of upside, and I think if this experiment goes well with just photos, it can actually lead to other things that down the line as we're fostering this new community within our channels. I think it's a good plus.
I think it's a huge win. But with anything else, if you already don't like answering comments, this may not be the feature for you because it's going to involve time and effort to really moderate and foster that community that you're building. But I love it. I love the idea of the potential.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's a big up for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people have heard about this audio dubbing feature that's going to be coming out soon. It's been around for a while. They've been working it through where you'll be able to, using AI, audio dub your particular video in a different language. Now that's still not in the hands of most people. They're still rolling it out very slowly and working through it. But they have a couple of new distinct features that they've upgraded. What did you like about the new upgrades? Talk about some of them that you heard that were interesting to you.
We have to recognize that, what was it, like 80% of the world doesn't speak English, right?
I don't speak English.
Look who you're talking to. Okay. So the idea has been able to appeal to a bigger audience, global audience, is absolutely appealing. There are services out there right now that you can pay and they'll dub your videos and you can upload them. If you're fortunate enough to have multi-audio tracks enabled on your channel, you can simply dump it in and you have it. So this is kind of around now.
Yep.
The YouTube one specifically, I don't have access to that, so I have never tried using YouTube's dubbing feature, so I don't know who has access to that.
I know Nick Nimmin does, and one of the things he found funny, because he's one of the testers, that he wasn't getting much of a response, and then he found out that his videos were being dubbed in a woman's voice, which could definitely change the impact you have on the potential viewer. So there are problems as they're trying to roll this thing out and go through that. But the new features, this is where it stands out to me.
Yeah.
is they've added this section called Expressive Speech. And what it's going to do is it's going to really pay attention to pitch, the pitch of the voice, the intonation, the acoustic environment. If it's like in an echoed room, that it will add a little bit of acoustic treatment to either deaden things down or liven them up and feel an alive environment. And the example they gave us was, I believe, a Spanish-speaking, I'm going to find out if it's Portuguese, but when they dubbed it over to English, I mean, it felt like that guy was speaking that language. The tone was right, but the personality, it really was expressive. And when he got excited, it would get excited along with him.
Right.
And it even had an accent. It even had like an English spoken with his accent, which was pretty clever.
That was smart.
Yeah.
I think that we have to understand that international audience, they cannot wait to get content in a language that they speak. So if someone's having a problem, they do not speak English, they find your video because of their search, and now it's in a language they don't understand, they put captions on, they really struggle to get the content. Are you telling me that viewer really cares if it's synced up with your voice or your lips? They want the answer.
Yeah.
What I'm really excited about is that it's all baked into YouTube Studio.
Yes.
So it can become part of your upload, become part of your procedure and part of your process. And how is that going to impact your video? How are you going to get more views? What's going to happen to your CPM now that it's served in different languages? It's going to skew your audience. How's the data going to handle it? How are you going to reply to comments in a language you don't speak?
Well, I will address that. Recently, in the last year, we're starting to see YouTube roll out the auto-translate inside of the comments. So you can click. That's one of my I never wanted to have anything that was even captured in another language, because I would get responses and questions and I couldn't answer them. I'd have to copy them, put them into Google and see if I could translate it. So I think with it being translated comments makes it a little easier.
And we're all for it. It's the idea is being able to talk and share your message with a much bigger community that's out there. I think that's great.
Let's see when it actually gets rolled out. I think it's one of those things we might have to wait 2025 or later to see it really in the hands of a lot of creators.
And someone brought up a point in our Q&A session where they said, look, captions at the moment are miscaptioning what I'm saying because it doesn't understand the accent.
Right.
Now, I have an accent, and when I put my caption on, sometimes I'm horrified. I've had a video demonetized because I called something. It assumed I called it the F word. They
did the same to me with a racial slur that I never said.
And by their own admission, they're saying, yes, this is how it works now, but we're getting better and better and better. So right now it's text to speech. In other words, it looks at your captions and makes it into a speech.
Yeah.
They're looking forward to the day, which is, I believe, going to be sooner than we think. It's going to be speech to speech.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's going to make a difference. Again, the most important thing is how YouTube is understanding us as creators wanting to communicate with that bigger audience. So the community, the dubbing, these are all features that allow us to share the content with a bigger world.
So there's another feature that, again, I was really excited about was Hype. They have a new feature coming out called Hype. Now, you're going to have to help me because I don't know if I heard all of this right. But it gives creators the ability to basically shout out another channel. You can hype them. What it does is it allows someone to really put another channel on the map, or your viewers who think your content's great and more people should be able to see it. You can have community members start hyping your content. Now, I believe there's 3 a week for free that you're allowed to hype, and then they're exploring paid hypes beyond 3 a week. And that money would be split with creators, as always. I don't know what the split is, they haven't said yet, but you'd be able to make money from people who really love your content, adding extra hypes in. So anything that allows you to potentially make a little more money is cool. What do you think of the hype feature?
Okay. The hype...
Don't look back.
No.
Tell us what you really think.
Think of the hype as an upvote. Right, as we've had on other platforms where somebody really likes a comment, they can press the upvote and it kind of gets moved up in the ranking. And kind of, I think of the hype as that. Mm-hmm. The idea with this is that new content that's out there, remember the channel must have less than 500,000 subscribers to be able to qualify to have a hype feature. So I think that was smart.
Yeah.
And the idea is that if you've seen this really dope video that's out there, and maybe with a creator that people don't really know, you're able to say, hey, I really like your stuff. And instead of just thumbs upping it and then it doesn't really do much, you'll be able to hype it. Press the hype because you use one of your 3 on that video, and the more hypes that a video gets, the more it moves up in the ranking. Tommy Innit made a very good point of saying, hey, us big creators, we're able to pay it forward by getting our community to say, hey, we found this really cool video. We think the creator deserves more credit. Everybody go out there and give them a hype. I think that's cool. I think we're involving bigger creators, shouting out smaller creators in a way that's meaningful and actually useful to the creator. I think that's pretty cool. I love the idea that they limited it to 3 a week. I think because abuse, we want to make sure that doesn't get that. You also don't want these raids like we have on live streams, like everyone go raid this channel. So I think it's cool that they're taking it slow. I do think it's let's roll it out, wait and see what the results are. Is it going to be useful, not useful? Remember, we have Creator on the Rise as a feature, which kind of didn't do or what they thought it was going to do.
Same with trending, sometimes cool, not always cool.
But this one has potential. This one has the potential because it's limited to less than 500,000, which means that the big creators can't hog this feature.
Right. Okay? You're not going to see a whole bunch of Mr. Beast videos being hyped and a whole bunch of, 100%. These big creators on the platform dominating the hype section.
And I think that is very smart. Limiting it to 3 is very, very smart. So you like strategic with which video you're going to spend your hype on. Anything that can show a smaller creator more exposure, absolutely.
The thing I like about it is it puts the power in the hands of the viewer. If you love a channel, how many times have we gotten comments from people who go like, man, your content is so good, I can't believe it doesn't have more videos, it doesn't have more whatever. There's reasons for that, but it's nice to be able to have someone like that who can say, listen, I just want to tell people about you. Formerly, I'd have to share, and then where do I share it? You can do this right on YouTube, it's hype, and it's almost like spotlighting smaller channels that they really like, and I love that.
That's cool.
So I think potential, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I think it's a solid potential feature. This one, I don't know how I feel. GIFs.
I knew you were going to go there. GIFs is essentially, the idea is when someone's streaming live in vertical format, you're able to give them a gift.
Well, vertical live. Which is right now mostly being surfaced on the Shorts feed. So,
I think the idea is that on every other platform, when someone's streaming live, you're able to interact with the creator in some way. And you can type a comment, but they're probably going to miss it because they're getting thousands of comments. So how do you get to the top? You kind of give them a gift of some type, whatever it may be. So to me, it is what it is. It's an idea that's been kind of brought over from other channels.
It's a TikTok thing. They're incorporating a TikTok feel.
It is what it is.
I worry that when you start chasing TikTok features and YouTube spends too much time trying to be like TikTok, then it loses that appeal that it has in its individuality. I've said it a lot. When I see features like this pop up, great. I would so much rather prefer to see custom thumbnails on our shorts or see a shorts tab on mobile where people can actually see the titles of our shorts and see when those shorts were uploaded, so that it really allows people who don't necessarily drive views from only the shorts feed, but drive from other places like browse and search, that creators like me can start having packaging that allows that content to be consumed outside of the short shelf. So
but again, remember, we're not the target audience, because we non-stream live on a vertical format. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who do like a cooking show and like streaming that live and are able to get some gifts from their audience. I think they'll enjoy that as a feature. But because people are used to doing that on other platforms, I think it's more of like, we have to have it because everybody else does. How much was it requested by the creator? I don't know.
Because it does, you have to buy the gifts. It does put revenue in a creator's hand, potentially. I'm going to give it a solid thumbs in the middle.
And that's a solid thumbs in the middle.
We'll see where that goes from there. Now, there's one last feature, our series of features that I thought was pretty interesting. And that's the new rollout of features they're starting to show for people who are watching on television, which they said is now up 30% over the previous
year on year.
And I think YouTube this past year became the largest streaming platform, beating Netflix, beating Disney Plus, and really setting some records out there. So people are watching from TV. People are watching YouTube on TV. So knowing that, they put out a couple new features. They're going to start doing something that was kind of a throwback which was they're allowing for seasons where you can now sort of take your content and create it more like if you were watching a television series, where you can separate things by seasons and episodes and take some of that long form content that was designed to be a series or more of a show, and you can start filtering those things by episode, seasons, when people watch on television. What did you think about that?
It's definitely, smart TVs are cheaper and cheaper around the world. And guess what? The YouTube app comes free and pre-installed on those smart TVs. No subscription, you don't have to download anything, you don't have to add to yet another thing you got to jump through. Right now, it's a constant flick between Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime. Where do you find the show? It's a constant, but YouTube is right there.
Yeah.
So I think it's super smart to focus on TV. I love the features that they are giving us as creators, saying our stuff is there anyway. How do we make it better? How do we make a viewing experience better? So being able to put things into seasons, into episodes, how is it going to practically play out? Is like a separate playlist that we'll have on our back. We'll have to kind of see it. The concept of it, I think, is really great.
Channels like GMM, Good Mythical North, and those channels that do very episodic type things that I watch on television, hot ones. Sean Evans, you know, he has a series, he has seasons, and they change the guests and the hot sauces they're featuring each season. I think they could benefit greatly from that. And it sounded like, and correct me if I'm wrong, they were going to even allow the channel headers to start previewing and playing some of the content up there. So it's a very immersive experience.
Yeah, you're going to get more of the Netflixy type of situation. So a channel will pop up, a video will pop up. Hey, we'll take over the entire screen and start to play like you do on the desktop experience at the moment. So you kind of get a feel for what this video is and encouraging you to watch. I think that's cool. I think the seasons are cool. The one I am exceptionally excited about,
QR codes.
QR codes.
Talk about the QR codes.
Oh man, I think that's going to be so good. So right now, with your TV experience, you cannot say, link is in the description, go and click on it. Well, you can say it, but you cannot click on that link.
You'd have to physically write it down, go to a computer.
So the workaround that people have started doing is putting QR codes to their links. What was announced today is that it will automatically find links in your description and turn them into QR codes. And I spoke to the main guy whose project this is under his belt. If you've got 3 links, it will create 3 separate QR codes. So you can now go and choose how you want to see it. Typically, you have your phone in your hand, you see the QR code, you scan it, it opens up. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Give me your opinion. This year compared to last year. Last year we saw some features roll out that were like the Creator app that allowed you to, create short. Yeah, exactly. The separate video editing app that apparently is still in production, but as far as we were concerned, kind of is in the, where are they now been? Because I don't know anyone using it. It doesn't seem to be talked about. What we saw this year versus what we saw last year, I'm much more excited about what they're bringing out because I really think it's going to allow creators to better connect with the very people they're trying to reach.
In fact, you can go watch our video rant from last year, somewhere up here or wherever we have to point to. Okay, this year I think it was all about tools. It was all about helping creators just become better creators, monetization. It's about kind of getting it out there. Really practical stuff. I mean, the one that to me was the most impressive is the one that's coming up that we're about to talk about. Out of all those features, their inspiration tab is the most exciting. So if you know right now, you go into your studio app, there's an option there called inspiration, and it gives you some ideas about your videos and all of that. They have taken this up 10x because now you can go there and you can type some ideas and it will look at your own channel. It will look at your data. It will look at your titles. It will look and it will start making recommendation of some video ideas. And you can go down this rabbit hole of a better idea. It will create an outline. It will even create thumbnails. So is this going to replace everything? No. No external tool is going to have better data than YouTube on your own data. So to me, that is
I think it's great. And it really is going to exist right inside of Studio. So you're sitting in there, and then look at it. It's not going to make the perfect thumbnail, but it's going to generate AI stuff to give you an idea of what the packaging might look like. And listen, right out there right now, there's a lot of companies that are making products that are going to be competing in this space that are going to be very surprised to see that YouTube is doing a lot of this in-house. because there's a lot of AI tools that are all built around ideation and built around the idea of helping creators create content and move them down that ideation path.
It's again, I go back to my very early comment. It's not going to be about the execution, because we'll be able to execute it in a number of ways.
Yeah.
I don't have a drone license, but I need a drone shot flying over Manhattan. Great, AI, help me out, give me that. But a crappy idea with amazing execution is still a crappy idea.
Yeah.
But a great idea.
Ask me how I know.
But a great idea, right, with average execution, will still work. We've seen time and time again channels with questionable thumbnails at best, ridiculous titles, and you're still getting millions of views, right? Because the idea is so solid.
Yeah.
This tool right here is going to help us get from that struggling with ideas to, hey, here's a launching pad for some ideas,
right?
And then start going down that rabbit hole. Is it going to be perfect? And you press the button, look, 1 out of 10 videos created from me every single time. Right. Definitely not. You still have to execute it. Yeah. But is it going to help us creators when it's like, I just don't know what my audience wants?
Yeah.
It's going to give us some clues, some little breadcrumbs here. Oh, hold on, I never thought of that. Let me take that and run with it. Let me tweak that a little bit more. Let me use the system more and more. I'm super excited about any tool that helps us think of ideas, right? And get to that level of, we're about to do this. Why am I going back to zero every single time? Now, I don't have to go back to zero. I click the inspiration. Okay, let me start diving down this rabbit hole.
It's like what the research tab tries to be.
Yeah.
You know, when it's sort of like, oh, you know, here's some underserved topics, and, you know, I don't mind that, but this feels like it's really honed in on who you are as a creator, what you're trying to do, literally based on what you've been trying to do on your channel. I don't know that they've mentioned there's any distinction about saying, hey, well, I'm trying to define my audience and I may not be reaching them now. I'm interested to see how that rolls out so that it doesn't just pull from what you're already kind of doing. Yeah. I think the prompts will allow you to get there. You can think about it, but it's going to be another one of those tools that doesn't do the work for you.
Exactly.
But it allows you to expedite the workflow in a way
100%.
that you can get from, I have no idea what I'm going to make for a video next week, to now I've got 4 or 5 great ideas that can work on my channel based on some of the data of stuff that's done well in the past.
And remember, right now, without this tool, you can still do it. You can go to your analytics, you go to your advanced, you can export it out into a CSV file, you can take that and dump it into Gemini, and you can ask it questions. You can do this right now. This is just saying, you're in studio, you're stuck, go to this tab, get unstuck.
And it's right inside of YouTube.
I think and it's going to get better and better and better.
And I think it's another example of YouTube using AI in a smart way and really thinking about how to best help creators on their journey, which again was the whole mission of what they were really pushing us towards in this particular Made on YouTube event.
I think it was super powerful this year. Definitely thumbs up all around. Like, we love the idea that YouTube is up at night thinking of how to help us as creators. And this definitely came across today, but big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up for me too. Can you please tell the people, tell them what it is that you do on YouTube and how they can find you?
I will find you. So I have a YouTube channel under my name. Link will be in the description because that's what he paid me to say. I talk about security, I talk about connectivity, I talk about how-to tips. I want to keep you safe, whether you have a business, whether you're an individual, whether you have a family. It's more about exposing the scams that are out there so you understand how to protect yourself and keep yourself safe.
Awesome. I'll make sure I link his channel not only there, but I'll put it in the end screen. Thanks for hanging out. I hope some of this stuff is as exciting to you as it is to us, because I think I see some good stuff coming.
We're definitely leaving this much more upbeat this year than we were last year. We can be quite cynical.
We can. We tend to be troublemakers. We're surprised they haven't thrown us out yet. We'll see you guys soon.